Hello, 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 hello. Testing, testing. Are we ready? Are we there? Can you hear me? This is G testing. One, two, three. This is G, and we're going to walk through the week of April 22nd. It's all things Mercury. Everywhere I look, Mercury's part of the picture. So it's like we got to take a super deep dive into Mercury energy. And yeah, I know there are other things going on. I know we have a lot of things happening in the background. And so we'll look at those other things. But this is the week that, Mercury already began its retrograde. But here we have when, Mercury actually goes direct this week. Now, it doesn't mean we're in the all clear, right? If you've watched the Mercury retrograde video series, you kind of understand the nuances and the degrees and the shadow zones and why that matters and all that other stuff. So we're going to definitely focus on some of these outer planets and some of the connections that are being made, and some look rather serious. So we begin the week off on the 22nd, and we're going to go all the way to the 29th like we normally do. We cover 7 days here. And Mercury's a big deal, so we're going to jump into it or dive into it or walk through it or whatever the hell we want to do. We're going to talk about it. Mercury, we're thinking about it. It's in the conversations, it's in the news, it's freaking everywhere. Now, here's the thing. What makes something everywhere? Like back in the day when I was growing up, oh Lord, I got really weird stuff going on here with this. Okay. So back in the day when I was growing up, when I say that, I'm talking about like when I was in grade school, when I was in high school, we didn't have phones. We were just starting to learn computers, seriously. Like, and this was the kind of computers where you had to, oh God, you had to actually type in like, what was it called? I forget what we called it, but it was nothing like today. It was not user friendly by any means. You had to log in, and a login was so different than it is now. Now it's your login is your goddamn password. No, back then you had to like know computers to log on. Like you had to have all this computer jargon. You had to have anyway. It took forever to freaking log on. We had classes on just how to be able to get to the point where the damn thing was working for you, right? So it was very different. Things are unbelievably, exponentially just they've transformed in ways that me coming up and just learning, like literally, like, a high school class was computers, and that was just teaching you how to log on to your computer. We didn't have emails, right? No, there was no emails. Like it was so basic, it was crazy. And it was all about, ooh, computer programming, right? And now, I don't even know if that's a term used anymore. I mean, I'm sure it is, for different softwares and whatever, but back then it was very much more like this is going to be the job in the next 30 years. Like this, there will be a huge demand for this, and maybe there still is. I don't know. I mean, I know there's tech. We call it tech now. My whole point of all this babbling is how things have have moved and changed and transformed to a way where we back then couldn't even recognize them. Like our thought process was so sluggish and slow compared to now. Things are so fast. It's like we don't have time. We're moving at the speed of light, at the speed of sound, even, right? We're just, well, yeah, light faster than sound, but we're just moving unbelievably quick. And so Mercury is a fast mover. It moves unbelievably quick. And in this week, the 22nd to the 29th, we start off, if I can get over here, we start off talking about 15 degrees. I know, who the hell wants to talk about 15 degrees? I don't know about y'all, but I'm effing tired of it. Every damn video for 2 months straight, it's been 15 degrees because we've had a 15-degree cardinal great square or a cardinal cross because we can actually make a cross with it, right? So cardinal, and it's still here, it's still prevalent, it's still a thing. Yes, it's freaking April, it's still a damn thing. The difference now is it's not just like Mercury gets involved, you know, which, because Mercury's in Aries, right? And you saw in the last video how holy shit, now Mercury is involved. And so the beginning of this week, yeah, you got Mercury right at 16 degrees in Aries, which means it's triggering this. It's triggering the stuff that we have up here in Libra. This is all in Libra right here. This is all in Libra. So that is all of this here. This is right at the beginning of the week. We have the moon, we have the south node, and we have Urania. Okay. Urania is science, it's astronomy, it's astrology. So you can also think about it as like tech and technology and inventions, which was kind of why I started the video off with talking about how things are moving so quicker than we could have ever have imagined. Like our minds, right? It's exponential. It's like a lightning bolt. And that's Urania energy. Think Uranus, Urania, right? It's feminine energy and it's moving fast. It's moving fast and it's part of the south node. It's part of this big conjunction with the moon and the south node. A lot of strong feminine energy here because it's the moon, feminine energy. It's Libra. What rules Libra? Venus rules Libra, right? Venus rules Libra. And then we have Urania, right? Urania. So there's this strong feminine power that's present here again. And then later in the week, we'll get to the details of it, but we will have Black Moon Lilith joining this party. Okay. But right at the beginning of the week, on the 22nd, this is what you see 15 degrees, 15 degrees. And I've been talking about those 15 degrees for a while. So when we think 15 degrees, I think we have to spend a little bit of time talking about that degree because it's not going away. So 15 degrees is thought, is talking, is speaking, is communication, is learning, is sharing, is writing. Yeah, it sounds like Gemini, doesn't it? Yeah. Mercury, again, Mercury, freaking Mercury, Gemini. So we think of peers and coworkers, classmates, next door neighbors, siblings. We think of being in school, so teachers and students. We think of social media. We think of having conversations, but digital conversations now, which was when I was a kid, we didn't have, computers were just starting. There was no social platform. You know what the social platform, like I remember back in the day, like MTV was such a big deal. It was such a big deal where there were these music videos and it was like, wow. Now you guys, there's just everything in your hand. So it's so unbelievably freaking different. So the exponential growth and change and transformation that was above and beyond what we, I think, could have comprehended at the time. Because even if we want to say, oh, yeah, I can think back then and I knew this is the way it was going to be. And I would have to say to that I would kind of be like, that's a crock of shit because it's all been very organic, right? Sure, there'd be these possibilities. But if we understood the challenges that the social media has created, especially for our youth, likely there would have been, I don't know, a little bit more caution taken, possibly more parameters set up, right? Or as they say, rules of the road set up. And rules of the road, Gemini energy, rules of the road is automobiles. So we think EVs, and it can be the ice mobiles as well. They were first, but we think about the transportation and the local transportation and the short trips, Gemini energy. So Mercury, again, really prevalent, right? It's just here and we can't like really escape it. Social media, a big thing. But what about just plain old speech? Like, did you ever take speech class? Right. And if it's not about speech class or learning how to properly give a presentation and how to speak in front of a group, what about online communication? Literally the social platforms and the ability to speak. You know how that whole, I can't speak my mind online. Well, sure, you can speak your mind online. There's a difference between freedom of speech and there's a difference between, we have to draw the line when there's speech where it's, you know, uh, causing harm. And I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm hurting someone's feeling, but malicious intent in using words, right? And plotting and planning and whatever. So this is a theme. It has been a theme and it's a continuing theme. So we think of freedoms when we think of Aries, and I'm going to fight for my freedoms. And if Mercury's there, Mercury's like, but what about my conversations and my talk, my speech, freedom of speech type of stuff, possibly, right? And it's again Mercury, and it's again 15 degrees. So we're thinking the social platforms, we're thinking Twitter, or X or whatever the platform is, however it is, wherever you do your communicating and your consuming of news and information and sharing information, spreading joy or whatever the hell you want to call it, there comes a time when we have to, I think, within a society, there should be rules. It's just plain and simple. Even though we have freedom of speech in this country, sure, but we see how much damage has been done. There's a lot of damage that's get done to the little ones, but not just the little ones, the country itself and people who are a little naive when they're online because it's new. Whether it's the young, whether it's the old, whether it's the middle age, whatever it is, there is obvious abuses of of lack of experience and those who will take advantage, right? So now on this day, we also have the sun squaring Pluto. On the same day, the 22nd, sun is squaring Pluto. The sun is an authority figure. The sun is in Taurus, a change and a transformation because it's Pluto in Aquarius and it's group energy. So it's when we're online because it's the group atmosphere, but it's Pluto in Aquarius. So it's not just online, it's social services, it's group energy in terms of mass transportation, it's inventions, it's the technology again in science and lift off, go into the space and astronomy and astrology, and it's Aquarius energy. And by the way, that's that Pluto sitting at 2 degrees. So when it's Pluto at sitting at 2 degrees, you should probably pay attention. You might hear things about banking and money. You kind of, yeah, lean towards earth energy, lean towards Taurus type of energy at that 2 degrees, and values. How about that? Values and Venus, and the sun also in Taurus. So it's an interesting square because in a way it's almost as if this could be Fed, uh, the head of the Fed who's going to adjust uh, interest rates, possibly, right? I forget his name. Forgive me. I was about to say Jerome Powell. Oh, yeah, I think it is Jerome Powell. Now we go to the 25th. Let's go and move to the 25th. And you see, this is where the Mercury retrograde ends. On the 25th, Mercury goes direct. So far, all that stuff, that Gemini degree and Mercury energy was that background stuff, which is why it was vital to talk about because it's not really the end of it, which is why I'm so sick and done and over with it. But I feel like it's going to keep changing and transforming and almost be like a snowball. I'm recording this in March. And so I'm thinking that this Mercury and ability to communicate and definitely technology, definitely social media, definitely transportation even involved and neighbors and siblings. But what about the housing market? What about the housing market, right? What about real estate in general? Everybody's talking about commercial real estate, how it's in deep trouble. And in the housing market, there's not enough. There's a shortage of housing. So there's this combination of that Gemini energy because I know it's confusing. How did I go from Gemini being online and my phone in my hand and social media to literally the housing market? Because it's your local community. And back in the day before phones existed, it literally was just I would go to the store and my local community was talking to the local merchant. And we would go to the farmer's market. And that's kind of how we would congregate. Or there would be, I don't know, a barn raising or a house raising or whatever the hell. We would go to church and we would talk there, right? And we would have lunch immediately following afterwards. It was a place where people socialized, right? People congregated, socialized. It wasn't that you were best friends, but they were your neighbors. They were part of your community. And now we have an online community. We have a physical, material, tangible community locally, but we also have this now. We didn't have that before. So it definitely adds a layer of complexity to our lives. It definitely makes it way more complex and a little bit trickier to decipher the difference between, how can you tell how somebody truly is that you're talking to, especially when you don't see their face, you don't hear their voice. You see, the phone thing or just doing this, there's no voice involved. You don't hear the intonation, you don't hear the cadence, you can't hear if there's any sincerity, if there's a snarkiness to it. Like you don't know any of that. A lot of that is a big assumption that goes on or doesn't or whatever, right? So it's even way more tricky than before, I would think, right? So complex again. And when we're online, it seems like people are definitely saying shit they would never say face to face. Online, everyone's real brave, right? And the kind of conversations that may have been had back in the day, oh shit. People would talk about, grandma sitting on a porch and oh my God, can they talk? And they're talking about everybody in the neighborhood. Well, last week I saw such and such down the street and they were with you know who, and I saw them coming out of that build and blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, the online stuff, holy crap, right? It's just never ending because it's not just the grannies or the two old men standing sitting on the porch or getting together with your friends down the street. It's everywhere. It's it's the people you're chatting with, it's the news you're consuming, it's the videos, like if you're on YouTube or wherever you consume your stuff, like everything is to get you to click. And so it's all about, I gotta evoke an emotion from you to get you involved. And usually it's fear and anger, right? So it's absolutely tricky dicky energy for sure. So Mercury retrograding in Aries. I didn't draw it out, the Aries, but we're going to go look at it anyway. And that D doesn't stand for Dicky, that's direct. So before we look at it, we need to know that Mars is getting very close to Neptune. Mars is in Pisces, so it's moving slow. It might be a little bit on the tired side. That's your physical body. This is the actions. It can be military on water. So we think the Navy. Mars is getting close to being conjunct. So it's a few degrees away at this point on the 25th. It's a few degrees away. Mars is already slow on the water, but when it becomes super close to Neptune, I gotta wonder if there's a white flag being raised. I'm praying that's what it's gonna mean, like a surrender or a peace of some sort, because the military already sluggish. Neptune has the ability to be like, hey, can't we all just get along? Unity, oneness, but it may just be a unity and a oneness and a show of force on the water. It could be that too. You see, it can go both ways. Now, same day, look, freaking Black Moon Lilith. She's a slick chick. She goes, at the beginning of this video, she was at 19 degrees. I know I covered it up with Urania, but this is Black Moon Lilith right here. She's under there. You see? 1958, 20 degrees. Look over here. She has already reached 28 degrees. She's moved 10 degrees, right? 11 degrees in 3 days. Holy crap. And that's how she rolls, super fast when she's not doing her retrograde. So she's getting near a critical degree. Black moon Lilith at 28. Yeah, she's at a critical degree. This is all on the 25th when Mercury goes direct. So I think these three things are really important. I think that Black moon Lilith going direct in Virgo energy. Virgo is the details. It's also hygiene. It's the practical, the needs, the service. We think of nursing. We think of food and medicine and clothing and clean water. We think of partners stepping up to help those in need, whatever country they're in. And there's just unbelievable amounts of need going on in a whole lot of places, whether it's through war, whether it's from fires or disasters, or whether it's from oppression and I'm just worn out. The whole Aries shit's just, yeah. We got to the 26th because this all happened so fast. We began the 22nd, we went to the 25th, and now we're on the 26th. And look, freaking the 26th, Black Moon Lilith, she is in Libra. Yes, in Libra already at 2 degrees. The very next day, she's so damn fast. She's already at 2 degrees in Libra. And look, we got Saturn conjunct Fortuna, Fortuna, at 16 degrees. We're going to look at that and we're going to talk about it. Okay. You see 16 and 15, Mercury goes backwards, hits 15 degrees and goes direct, right? Conjunct the North Node. We're looking at Saturn and Fortuna. So, yeah, at the beginning of the week, they were about a degree away from each other. We got to the 26th and they're both at 16 degrees. They both sit here right at 16. Now, 16 degrees, we go up here in the water, and what do we see? Yeah, we got some stuff here, right? I realize that this all moves kind of fast, but Estrella doesn't. Estrella is going to be still sitting at 17 degrees, and that Fortuna down below is going to be moving forward. You know, she'll be hitting 17, 18 degrees. She moves faster than Saturn. The thing about Saturn and Fortuna is it can be a change of fortune. And it's in Pisces. It's in Pisces, you see? So 14, 15 degrees. This is the first part of this week. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. These two are riding together the whole time. And then once they hit the 26th, 27th, Fortuna pulls ahead. This Pisces is creating a quincunx to this south node, to this energy at the very beginning of the week. You follow? Yeah. And then as the week goes on, we got Black Moon Lilith, who's now at the lower degrees. But then as we get even further in the week, Black Moon Lilith is even going to be at this 15 degrees, joining the south node. The Black Moon Lilith will join the south node. Luckily, she's moving really, really fast. Okay. So that quincunx, this has the ability to slow some stuff down. But remember, it's in Libra. So we think equality, we think partnerships, we think marriage, and we think business partnerships. We think lawyers, we think Lady Justice. It's the South Node, so it's something that occurred in the past, relationships from the past. It can be those professional partnerships. South Node is a release and a let go, right? Yeah. Saturn is someone in charge. Saturn says, I have rules, I have restrictions. It can be public figures. To me, there's a lot of political stuff going on because this is politics. When we look at Pisces energy and we got Saturn and we got fortunes changing, a change of fate, a change of fortune, literally ups and downs. The swings are going to be low and high. Some are going to benefit and some are going to be like, oh my God, I want to crawl under a rock, right? Because it's Fortuna cruising over Saturn. At the same time, you got Black Moon Lilith and the South Node and Urania. And remember, Urania is science, but it takes the deep dive. It says we need to go deeper on this. We need to take a look. We need to get all of our information and our facts together. So it's not about talk. It's not about gossip. Urania brings the details and it brings information. It brings knowledge. And when you read about Urania, it's not there to be gossipy. It's there to really have gotten to the truth as much as it can possibly get to the truth. The Sedna entering what? Entering Gemini. You see, Mercury yet again shows up. Mercury rules Gemini. Talking and communications, it's all over the damn place, right? So whether you're mailing letters, whether you're emailing people, lots of phone calls, lots of time online, lots of whether it's, who the heck knows, just a lot of consuming information. You feel like you're learning something, you're sharing it back out again. You may be writing, you may be vlogging, you may be blogging. It's learning. It's learning. And if Sedna's there, again, more feminine energy, talking about the past, talking about the tragic shit and the wounds, and Mercury moving direct now. And while she's moving direct, we go to the 28th and the 29th. Mentioned it already. Going to touch on it again. Yes, Black Moon Lilith at 15. This all happens this week. It's like a lot stays the same, yet a lot almost comes to like a culmination this week, because Black Moon hits the critical degree, and then she goes into critical degree of Virgo, right? Hygiene, daily routines, work, supporting with clean food and clothing and the details, right? Can be nursing and medicine, can be jobs report, literally the tasks and the projects at your jobs. But then she ends up being at 15 degrees in the sign of Libra. Partnerships, diplomacy, compromise and negotiations. Black Moon Lilith? Well, we'll see, because we have Mars conjunct Neptune now. And it's like at 28 degrees exactly. A slowdown of some sort within action, a slowdown within fighting even, possibly just a slowdown within the work that's being done. Maybe the white flag is raised. Maybe there's a peace talk, because conversation is a big deal because of Mercury. But because of Mercury, whatever is happening here, things are probably they could possibly change. They could possibly change a little bit, okay? Yes, the retrograde's over, but Mercury has to get all the way back up to 27 degrees of Aries to make a decision, to make a choice. Okay. So on the 28th, on this day, you got these two, Mars and Neptune in Pisces at 28 degrees. 28 degrees, spiritual work. Spiritual work. Okay. So I would think of people helping people, right? Somebody helping people. Soldiers doing work that's literally providing aid, and the food and the clean water and the medicine, Neptune, substances, medicine, helping people, bringing people together. On the 29th, we also have Venus. Venus enters Taurus on the 29th. So Venus is very strong in her values here. Now remember, this Venus, she had some conversations with Mercury, remember? Because she was in Aries. So they talked a lot. They had a lot of time to sit at the table together and to be at the same meeting together as siblings, right? And they were a unified presence together. So now Venus enters Taurus, and she's still talking to Aries. She's not with Aries anymore, but she's taking the information that she got while she was in Aries. So whether it's, war crimes, civilians being hurt, just injury to people in general, and the new set of values that happened in April because of, well, maybe the visions of watching people starve, people not having water, babies going hungry, dying from hunger. Civilians we're talking, not soldiers, not people who signed up for battle, but innocent civilians, regardless of their freaking nationality and color, because none of that matters. All of a sudden, when you see bones on the body, and all of a sudden, real quickly, the value systems, a repriority shift occurs, likely. So Venus entering into Taurus, this Venus here she's not reborn, but she's got a new plan. She's got a plan. Thank you for watching. Take care, and remember, I always appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next video.